On day 24, we'll be looking around this area at Joshua Tree National Park, and then we'll drive to Palm Springs to spend the night. Soon we're driving out of Palm Springs and into Joshua Tree, which is the city itself. We go to the Joshua Tree National Park Visitor Center and get a magnet and a map. There we see a fresco that's been painted about what it would have looked like here during the Age of Mammals. And then we head into the park. Soon we're arriving at the check-in station and entering the park itself. Because we have the senior passes, we can skip the line and head on in because we don't have to pay the fee. Joshua Tree is in the middle of a desert just like Mojave was, and we're going to be following this route through it. We'll be going from our hotel to the visitor center, and then we'll enter the park and drive out to Keys View. Then we'll head back into the center of the park and follow the road southward out the end of the southern end of the park. All along the route, we'll be stopping many different places to look, take pictures, and to learn what is there. After visiting the visitor center, we'll leave the park and head out on Highway 10. We'll go all the way over to Palm Springs, where we'll be staying for the next few days. We're going to be seeing a lot of Joshua trees like these, but we're also going to be seeing a lot of rock formations, as there seems to be a whole lot of rocks here. This Joshua tree is in bloom, and you can see its white blooms. Some of these Joshua trees are 1,000 years old.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. What road has narrows. And some of them are actually leaning over the road. They're a big bush. We don't.
As we look over this valley, you're looking at the St. Andreas Fault also. It runs right through the middle of this valley, and that's how this mountain range has split in two. This red line shows the fault line, and here it is here, the raised area. The Joshua tree is called the tree of life here. Just as the saguaro cactus gives life to many different animals in the Saguaran Desert, the Joshua tree gives life to in the Mojave Desert. The western half of the park is above 3,000 feet, and that is where they grow. It's not really a tree, but a form of yucca. It can grow up to 40 feet tall, about 1 inch a year. It blossoms in February and April, and then branches right after flowering. You can tell you're in the Mojave Desert because it does have Joshua trees in it. This area was burned in a great fire in 1999, set off by lightning again. It burned over 14,000 acres, and this is what it has recovered to after 20 years. And now let's move on a little bit further down the road. Now we come to Skull Rock. It's been eroded a whole lot and looks like a skull in some places. Can you see it here? Here's what it's supposed to look like. Notice that there are Joshua trees here, but we're about to make a transition where there are two deserts right together here. The Mojave Desert with Joshua trees and the Colorado Desert that doesn't. The Mojave Desert is a high desert and is slightly cooler and wetter. It's 3,000 feet to 5,000 feet above sea level. The Colorado Desert is lower and is basically a sand and rock desert and is part of the Sonoran Desert system. As you can see, we're getting lower and lower as we head down through the mountains. This is the ruins of the Silver Bell mine. It produced gold in the 30s, lead in the 40s, and copper in the 50s. The cholla cactus is also called the jumping cactus because it'll get you even when you're not nearby. Here's one in flower now. It's also sometimes called the teddy bear cactus because of the arms and the way it looks fluffy, but it is not. Don't touch it or you'll be hurting. I'll wait on you. A plant common here is called the Ocatella. It's not really a cactus, it's a deciduous plant that loses its leaves during the dry seasons and puts them back on up to 5 times a year and blossoms when it puts on its leaves. We now arrive at the Southern Visitor Center at Cottonwood. This is a good view of a typical Colorado desert area. And then we're heading out of the park. We'll be catching Interstate 10 going west as we head to Palm Springs for the night. In downtown Palm Springs, we get behind one of those pedal bars. They pedal around all day and party and have a good time. And then it's time to pull into our hotel, the Best Western Plus La Brisas Hotel, where we'll be spending the next few days. And this brings us to the end of day 24.